Hey guys, it's me Jem again, and welcome back to my channel. It's good to be back. I haven't done a video in 2 weeks, but it's just because that I've been busy with my other job, which is event photographer and videographer. So today is July 26th. It's a sunny Friday afternoon. I think it's about 2:40 p.m. and we're going into the last days of July before we head into August. And then after August comes the bear months. September, October, November. Yeah, you know that. So my voice is a bit different in this video. It's because I'm still recovering from a runny nose and a really bad cough, which I still have now. But with the help of medicine, I think it's getting better. So I've been busy last July 13, 14, and 15. I had 3 jobs straight. And then after those 3 jobs, and then I got sick. So before we proceed to the topic of today's video, just want to give a quick congratulations to Senator Manny Pacquiao for winning against Thurman. Once again, you made the Filipino proud. I happened to catch the fight on the bus on the way home, and I did see that first round knockout. And I really thought that Manny Pacquiao was gonna knock Thurman out. But anyways, still an excellent fight. So congratulations to you, Senator Manny. And another congratulations, of course, to our President, Rodrigo Duterte, for an excellent State of the Nation address. Just keep doing what you're doing, Mr. President. Don't mind your detractors. Just keep on doing a good job. So let's get to the topic of our video for today. I've decided to focus on the niche of my channel, which is photography. So I'm going to be doing a series of tutorials starting from the basic up to the advanced aspects of photography. So for my first photography tutorial video, we're going to focus on the most basic function of the camera, otherwise known as the exposure triangle. In this video, you're going to learn about ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. So if there's one thing common with these functions, it's that it can either make your picture darker or brighter. But aside from that, each one has its own different function. So let me start by saying that photography is an indispensable skill. Whether you decide to do it as a career or for your personals, like if you travel a lot, it's important to learn how to take good pictures. And in this series of tutorials, I want to encourage you to get off the auto setting on your camera and start getting creative with the manual settings. So to start knowing more about the exposure triangle, let's start with shutter speed. So like I said, shutter speed can be used to make your photo lighter or darker. But the main function of shutter speed is to allow you to capture an image of a moving subject and freeze it. Or if you use a lower shutter speed, you can create a sense of motion. Like if you take a picture of a waterfall, or if you want to take pictures of fireworks and you want to see the colorful lines of the fireworks, that's when you can use slower shutter speed. So a higher shutter speed will freeze the moving subject, while a slower shutter speed will create a sense of motion in your photographs. So let's move on to aperture. So aperture is sort of like the gateway of the lens. It determines how much light will enter your lens, so it can close really small or it can open up really big. Aperture is also used to control depth of field. So what is depth of field? Depth of field determines how much of your image will be in focus. So aperture is measured in f-stops, the widest being f1.2 and the smallest aperture being f22. So why are these values important? Because it determines how much of your picture will be in focus. So for example, you're trying to take a picture, group picture of 4 people. If you use an aperture like f2.8, it's more likely that only one of those people in the picture will be in focus. But if you set the aperture to f5.6, all of them will be in focus. Another example of using aperture is when you take a picture of a single person or a single subject and you want to create a background blurring effect or bokeh. You'll want to use an aperture like f1.8 or 2.8, but this is not available in all lenses. There are 3 things that determine background blur. Number 1 is the focal length of your lens. Number 2 is the distance between you and your subject, or how close you are to your subject. And number 3, how far the subject is from the background. So the third important setting in the camera is ISO or ISO. So what is ISO? ISO refers to the sensitivity of the camera sensor when it is gathering light. ISO values usually start from 100 up to as much as 25,000. Now let's move on to the important part of this video. Now that we know how ISO, shutter speed, and aperture works, let's take a look at some shooting scenarios. So, for example, you're in an indoor venue and you're taking pictures of a concert or your kid's ballet recital or taekwondo match. You want to capture them without blurring their movements. First of all, your shutter speed should be at least 500. Your ISO should be at least between 2500 up to 4000 ISO. And your aperture should be at least f2.8. So next scenario, you're in a room, in a party, like a birthday or a wedding, and you want to take a picture of the entire room, a wide shot, and you want most of it to be in focus in your picture. So most likely you'd be using an aperture like f8, and you'll have to dial down the shutter speed to about 40 or 50 and use a ISO of 3200 or 4000. So in this situation, it helps if your lens has a built-in image stabilizer to reduce the camera shake in the picture, or you have to mount the camera on a tripod if you're doing a long exposure. So the next scenario could be, for example, you're in a park and you're taking pictures of your friend and you want the background to be blurred. First of all, your aperture should be at least f2.8. With that aperture, your shutter speed should be at least about 500 or 640, and your ISO should play between 400 and 200. Now these settings that I suggested is if the place is a bit bright, but if the place is like dark or gloomy, you may have to increase the ISO and decrease your shutter speed. So that's about it for my first photography tutorial. There are more shooting scenarios to learn, but that would involve other equipment which we will learn about in other videos. It's important to learn these basic functions first before you move on to other techniques in photography. So there you have it. If you own a DSLR, try switching it to manual and playing with the settings. These are aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. I hope this basic knowledge can help you get started in learning photography, and I will be posting more video tutorials in the coming weeks. So if you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe, and please hit that bell button so you'll be notified if I have a new video. Okay, so till the next video, bye bye.